Separated by cosmic cabinets, Brandon, Paul, and Logan are broadcasting the Breakdown Podcast live using their telepathic powers. My name is Brandon Miracle, broadcasting live from the Break Room Arcade. If you look south of me in the video version, you'll see the wonderful and beautiful face of Paul Anderson, broadcasting live from the Break Room Clubhouse. And if you look to the right of me in the video version, you'll see the wonderful, lovely, and intrinsic face of Logan Wellifer, broadcasting live from the Break Room Bedroom. This is the Breakdown Podcast. And what do we do on this show?
We talk about the things that we did during the week and how much we enjoy being with each other.
We talk about how much only that.
Welcome to the Wholesome Room Arcade.
Today's episode recorded live on July 30th, 2018, episode 24 of the Breakdown Podcast. We're talking all of our favorite movies, TV, anime, and video games that we experienced over the last week. And we always start the show with movies and TV. Some of the things you'll hear about are Community, my continued love for Boruto, Teen Titans Go to the Movie, lots of No Man's Sky. Sorry to bother you. That's some of the stuff you can look forward to later in the show, but starting out, I'll give you the first show that I experienced over the week, and that is Community. This is a show I've watched before, but have never really taken the time to, just sit down and go through it. So I've been doing that and enjoying myself. Always a joy to see Donald Glover on screen. I love Tony and Abed's relationship. Might be my favorite thing about the show right now. I don't really care at all for Joel McHale's character and the Britta girl's relationship. Actually, I don't care at all. I care about everything else but that.
Then you're in the right headspace to enjoy the show.
Good. Okay. Conman in the chat, he said, bursts into the break room. I heard there was cake in the break room. Well, actually, I have diabetes, so we don't serve cake usually. He says Community is amazing. Yes, and I've been enjoying it. Michaela watched a couple episodes with me after I was 5 or 6 episodes deep. And at first, I don't think she was interested at all, but then she started laughing at some of the jokes. So I think she's into it now.
It's just a matter of time when you're watching Community. I remember the first experience that both of us had. I don't know, Logan, were you there when Jake Cannon was showing us through Community?
No.
He was skipping around a bunch, and so we had very little context for the series as a whole. We just saw a bunch of different episodes.
He showed us some tentpole episodes, I think, or ones that stood out to him. Yeah, and I remember enjoying those a lot. I think we watched the first episode for context, and then just a couple other ones.
I think that's right. Mostly the prolific paintball episodes.
Yes. Luckily, I don't have any memory of those anymore. The only thing I remembered about Community going in was that Joel McHale's character, Jeff, starts the Spanish club so that he can get in with Britta. That was the only thing I remembered. So, see, this is what happens on the Breakdown Podcast when you record things live. Everyone dies. For all I know, it could just be me. Or maybe just Discord is dying. It's also possible Discord is dying. Are we all coming back? Is anyone coming back? Well, while that tries to recover itself, I'll keep the show going. How about this? This is what you get on the Breakdown Podcast. Unfiltered ridiculousness. Let's see if we can get back in here. Oh, you can see that Logan loves us. Nope, she's shot, boys. That's okay. I'll just try and reconnect. Yeah, Conman, I've really been enjoying it so far. He said, we're doing it live! I've been watching it on Hulu. I don't think it was available anywhere else before then, so if it wasn't on Hulu, I wouldn't really even have a way to watch it. But yeah, I've been watching Community and I've been enjoying that. Hey, look, everyone's back. But I can't hear any of them yet.
I haven't said anything.
Paul's completely dead.
There we go.
Okay. So
it helps when you press the mute button.
So Discord just completely blew up. I was entertaining the crowd while you guys were gone.
Good.
Oh, good. Yeah, that was weird.
Those are the risks you take when you're doing it live. Conman says we're doing it live. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about Community. I enjoy the show so far. Right now, it's not really something I devote all of my attention to. It's kind of that show I just put on the background and kind of passively listen to while I do something else. And I think it works for that because you don't really have to devote your attention to it. If I hear a joke every now and again, I'll have something to laugh at, and I can just keep doing what I'm doing. So on top of that, Paul, you and I went to see Sorry to Bother You.
What a trip.
Just for a basic premise, this is a movie about a guy who gets a job at a telemarketing company making calls out to people to sell. Ultimately, he learns that the trick is to talk like a white guy.
Honestly, I went to rewatch the trailer today, and I don't think there's any possible way to anticipate this movie and the direction it goes.
Oh, no. This movie...
They sell this as, like, something really normal.
It is as far from normal as you can get. One of the words I saw before seeing the movie used to describe it was bizarre, and that is 100% what this movie is. It is bizarre, but in all the best possible ways. Some of the early humor you'll see is when he's taking a call, his entire cubicle will crash into the setting that the other person on the line is in. So like if he's talking to somebody, or say in the bathroom, his desk just falls into the bathroom, and you see them having a face-to-face interaction, but over the phone. So it's very visually inventive. It gets very visually inventive actually later on, but yeah, that's some of the kind of stuff you can expect from this film. It's just really weird, and I loved it.
I almost saw this film over the last week, though I didn't actually see any films this week. I considered seeing films on several occasions, but this was definitely one of the ones I was looking at.
Don't go into this movie expecting to have a normal experience. Definitely go in with an open mind. I can see that like the majority of like casual viewers will probably not end up liking this movie at all, probably. Yeah,
that sounds about accurate.
But there's a lot to appreciate here as a fan of filmmaking and just a fan of innovation. It does not try to do anything that's really been done before. So look forward to that. There's not much you can really say without giving it away, so I'll just kind of leave it at that. Next on my list is the highlight of my week, and Paul, I believe, it's also Paul's highlight of the week. It's Teen Titans go to the movies.
Oh, so it was that good?
It was fantastic.
I was a skeptic of the show, and I laughed so hard throughout that whole movie, and we were quoting it like all weekend long after. It's a good movie. Yeah. The people... There was, 6 of us in the theater? Me, you, my wife, and then 3 other people who were in the back row. They were there watching it ironically. But they were also laughing during the movie. They enjoyed it. They can act like they were there to see it ironically all they want. They enjoyed it. They were trying to make it sound like they thought it was dumb, but they didn't want to walk out of there and let us think that we knew that they
I don't know. So I feel like there's a big kind of like stigma around Teen Titans Go. Yeah. Which I think is like the dumbest thing ever. It's very dumb. When you think of like stigmas, you think of like really negative things and really like serious, serious matters. Whereas like this one is like, oh, you like Teen Titans Go? That must mean like that you don't appreciate like the original Teen Titans or whatever your justification is. It's just kind of silly. It's a cartoon. It's supposed to be silly. They're just having fun. Have some fun. Just go watch it. And obviously that's sounds like what happened. The best description I've ever heard of Teen Titans Go, and I've used it since, is that it is unapologetic. And I absolutely love that. This show doesn't care what you think about it. It's just going to do what it does and have fun with it. Yeah, and like I think that's great for anything, right? So whether it's a game, whether it's a movie, whether it's an album, you can't apologize for what you love doing. You just have to do it to the best of your ability, be as creative as you can, and that's what people want. So that quality is probably one of the reasons why, you know, at least some people are pulling for Teen Titans Go to be recognized as something that's, you know, maybe it's not the same thing as the original Teen Titans, but it holds up on its own on its own merits, you know?
I mean, it's been going for, you said 5 years now? The original went for 3 years?
Yeah, it has outlived the original series.
I think there's a reason for that.
Yeah. And it sounds like it might even bring the original series back. So maybe you should be appreciative, right?
So that's something that I want to talk about really quick. A lot of people are not going to go see this movie, and I recognize that, and we've talked about the stigma surrounding the show. Those are the people who love the original Teen Titans and want that show to come back. Well, the show will come back if you go see the movie. And spoiler alert, there is a post-credit scene in this film that it starts with a transmission trying to get into the credits, and then you see a face that you might recognize, and you start hearing voices that you might recognize, and then you start to see the face of Beast Boy, and then Raven shows up, and you hear Cyborg in the background before the camera ultimately pans onto Robin's face, and he says, "Can you hear us? This is the Teen Titans. We think we found a way to come back." And it is the original characters, the original show.
I'm getting goosebumps. Just
yeah, no, I kind of got that same feeling. Like, oh no.
I knew that was going to happen. Unfortunately, that got spoiled before I saw the movie. But it's like you said, it still gave me goosebumps. That just was the icing on the cake for me. It was
such a powerful moment.
Yeah, they knew the weight of that.
Like, oh, they get to finish the series. Yay!
I do want to just say real quickly, like, I think I watched like maybe 1 or 2 segments of Teen Titans Go just overall since it started. If you haven't really seen that and you're still thinking about, you know, maybe going and seeing this in theaters, like, you can absolutely go and enjoy it without having seen the show around it.
Yeah, you need no context at all. There are jokes that might call back to previous episodes, and there's actually jokes that call back to the original Teen Titans. There's a waffle joke in there that actually plays tribute to a joke from the original show, which I've been seeing on Twitter lately, and that's how I know that.
Do the two shows share writers? Like, are there any writers from the original show on Go?
I've heard no, but I don't know for sure about that. I would have to investigate. To give you a little context of the movie itself, the film is it's primarily about Robin. Robin is jealous of all of the other superheroes that get movies made about them. So he wants a movie made about him. If you watch Teen Titans Go, they kind of characterized Robin as this very self-important person who gets his pride hurt really easily. He has to be on top. He has to be recognized. And if he's not, he feels inconsequential. He feels very small. So it's his goal to get a movie made about him. The Teen Titans decide that they need an arch enemy in order to have a movie made about them. That's really all the context you need for the story itself. But some of the jokes, man, the places that they go,
too good.
Slade. One of my favorite jokes in the movie is subtle. It's not even like in the forefront. The rest of the Titans want to make a movie for Robin so that he can have one about himself. And they tape it over a VHS tape of Young Justice and then cross out the Young Justice label. There is so much shade there. Just, oh my god. Luckily, that show is coming back. But that made me laugh so much. There's a scene when they're in the theater getting ready to watch the new Batman movie, and for one, the Batman movie is called Batman Again, which I cracked up to death at. I thought that was hysterical.
It's such a great name.
And Robin, they're gonna start teasing the future like superhero movies, and Robin's like, oh, they're gonna finally make a movie about me, and an R shows up on the screen. He's like, here's my moment, and then the R zooms out and it spells Alfred. Alfred the movie. And then another trailer plays for next summer, and this one's Batmobile the movie, and then next summer, Utility Belt the movie.
Oh my God!
Robin, the movie about Batman's best friend.
Oh my God, they're not afraid to go places. There's a point where they decide that in order to get a movie made about them, they have to go back into the past and make sure that none of the other superheroes ever exist. So they go back in the past and start eliminating them from existence. And the one about Batman in particular is really funny. They steer him down a different alley than Crime Alley, because as you know, when they go down Crime Alley, they get attacked by a robber, and both of Bruce's parents are shot. Well, later in the movie, they're like, wait, let's go back and bring all the superheroes back. So they go back to the past again and correct their mistake. Raven goes up to Martha and puts her pearl necklace around her neck, and then they push them back into Crime Alley, walk away, and you just see and hear gunshots.
It's immediate too. Like they immediately get shot.
Yeah.
They didn't hold anything back.
It was so dark. Paul and I died.
I didn't realize after the fact that one of the heroes that they stop from existing is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they never fixed that. So if Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ceased to exist,
yeah, they never brought them back. The four turtles are walking out of the sewer. So they just turn them around and have them walk back towards the sewer. And that's how they stop them from becoming the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Aquaman might be like the worst. They took like a 6-ring plastic, soda can holder and dropped it in the ocean, and Aquaman as a baby choked on it.
Oh no!
For one, the social commentary, and two, wow, that's dark.
Yeah, it sounds, but I guess in contrast to the comedy, right? That's what they're able to get away with it.
Unapologetic.
That's so bad. Oh, that's so good. It's so bad, so good.
The movie also has several musical numbers, which are really good. It opens with a Teen Titans rap, which is the Titans rapping about themselves and introducing themselves, which is really good. Right. Was that the song Lil Yachty was involved with?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's so good. There's one in particular. Was the song the upbeat song?
Yeah, the upbeat song with Michael Bolton.
Michael Bolton, yeah. It's upbeat. The song is literally called Upbeat, and it's about the song. The song is about itself, about how upbeat and uplifting it is.
Oh.
There's a whole scene where they cheer Robin up by doing that.
This movie just sounds like pure meta.
It breaks the fourth wall almost constantly.
That's amazing.
There's a joke. I don't want to. There's one cameo I don't want to give away. Just see the movie. However, they poke fun at some other superhero movies you might be familiar with. Yeah. So
incredible experience.
10 out of 10.
Incredible experience.
I will probably buy that on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Logan, I would implore you to check that out. It's a blast.
No, there's some showtimes in my area, so I might have to see if I can go one evening.
Also, I want to mention, like, when we went to see it, the person who was tearing our tickets just kind of like scoffed and judged us.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
it's okay, because we didn't want to interact with them anyway. They had one of those,
what
like...
would you call people who are prejudiced against people who go to see movies that they don't like?
Well, it might be that they thought it was a kid's movie.
It could have been
I think part of it might have just been, like, they had one, like, electronic kiosk. Yeah. And all three of us went to that and ordered tickets. Well, there's two dudes at the counter. And so we stood in line instead of going to interact with them.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel it.
My movie pass had something to do with that, though.
Oh yeah.
I just didn't want to talk to him.
There's a whole lot of feelings. Oh wow. What are you gonna do? I mean, you enjoyed yourself at the movie, so who's the real winner, right?
Conmens asks, he says, what would you say to millennials who are hating on this movie because it's not the Teen Titans they remember?
Well, okay, first of all, let's talk about millennials for just a tad second.
Oh, that's a trigger word.
So, I think the youngest millennial is like 22. I think that's it. Like we're at the bottom of the whole millennial generation. Anything past that, that's like a new. They got a whole new name for all that.
They're the chillins.
So if we're talking about 22 and older, yes, millennials. Anything younger, I don't know. I think it's Generation Z or something nuts like that.
I think it has two names actually.
Well, okay, so I don't want to get too much into this, but it's all marketing.
Too late.
They come up with these names and they throw it, and whatever one sticks, then they get like a ton of money.
Oh, and quickly, Conmen, yes, we did talk about the post-credit scene. Teen Titans is coming back. Anyway, Logan, you were saying.
So, I don't know. I kind of finished my thought.
Oh, okay. What I would say to people who are hating on this movie, if you're hating on this movie for the sheer fact that it's not the original Teen Titans, you're part of the problem.
Yeah. Also, as a general rule, if you're hating something that's very inoffensive and won't affect you in any way, shape, or form, I would recommend taking that energy and putting it elsewhere.
I think one thing to remember too is
this is
not the reason the original Teen Titans is no longer on air. If anything, it's going to be the reason it comes back on air, and that should be a reason to at least give it a try.
That's something I didn't think about, is the fact that like some people see this as like a replacement for the old Teen Titans, you know, which what are you talking about?
These shows will air side by side. They are going to coexist, and that's the best thing about all of this.
Hopefully there's a crossover too.
Moments, yeah. That's well, the thing is, like, it seems like Pokemon Go,
Teen Titans
Go. Teen Titans Go is doing pretty well for itself. You know, if it's on season 5.
I think it's Cartoon Network's most watched program.
Yeah. So, I mean, the fact that it's doing so well, and that's only going to build the brand for Teen Titans, and it creates more of a demand for Teen Titans. So, like, ever since Teen Titans Go came back, more people have been like, yo, where's Teen Titans? Where's Teen Titans? And guess what? It's coming back. Like, they've been listening this whole time. They realize you want. You're getting what you want.
If Teen Titans Go hadn't been as popular as it is, the Teen Titans you want would have never come back again.
It wouldn't have happened.
It's okay, because there's always the Titans live action show, because that's gonna be so great.
The third pillar. Speaking on this topic a little bit deeper, the show the movie actually actively addresses what people think about the Teen Titans Go series, because the other superheroes in the movie continuously refer to the Teen Titans Go teammates as jokes. You guys are jokes. You're joke heroes.
Gosh, that's so meta, and I didn't realize.
The superheroes in that movie are us.
And then, can you believe they like took that, and then they were like, "Well, we're gonna give you entitled people Teen Titans anyway."
Yeah. Oh man, that part of that makes me angry. It's like, despite all the hate you guys have given, or how much hate they've gotten, they're rewarding people. I mean, there are dedicated fans to both series like me.
Right.
So obviously those people are being rewarded, but it feels like it's almost cheapened a little bit. However, the post-credit scene is available on Twitter, and I feel like that was intentional to get people's butts in seats, to make sales on that movie, to make the show actually happen. Because it's not a done deal yet. This is only a possible thing. They didn't commit to anything in the movie.
Really quick, I want to say one thing to DC Universe. The original Teen Titans is the mature Titans we want. Just stop, please. That is all.
Let's see. Dreamdrop says both are fine. One doesn't tarnish the image of the other. Conman says, yeah, if the OG Teen Titans is coming back, then if anything, this is going to boost it. Conman says, because kids are going to be used to these characters. Yeah, this is their introduction to those characters, and now they're going to have a version of those characters they can grow up with. Dreamdrop says, I love the episodes where the writers express their feelings about the reception. It's interesting while also kind of painful. Actually, it's a really common theme in Teen Titans Go. They address it very frequently. The writers are very, very self-aware about how people see the show. And the fact that they play that into one of the themes of the movie is fantastic.
Yeah.
So go see it if you don't like Teen Titans Go. If you love Teen Titans at all, go see the movie. With an open mind, you're going to have a blast. It's really funny. So, that said, I'll get on to my next movie. The Boy and the Beast, which is a film by Mamoru Hosoda, who's also made The Girl Who Leapt Through Time and Wolf Children. His next movie is not too far off. We watched it with Josiah. It was actually Josiah's first time seeing it. The only Hosoda movie he had seen was The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, which he and I agree might be one of the weaker films he's done.
Wait, so he hasn't seen Wolf Children?
Mm-mm. I think watching The Boy and the Beast kind of convinced him that he needs to, because he loved The Boy and the Beast.
Yeah. I thought The Boy and the Beast was okay.
Logan.
It's a different movie than Wolf Children by far.
I think that might be. I think I just might be comparing it to Wolf Children. I love Wolf Children so much.
It's got great theming. It's about the relationship between student and sensei, and the movie actually reverses those roles. They both teach each other, and they show how they grow together, rather than one growing the other.
Right.
But in a more deliberate way than you usually see in these kinds of stories. The animation for the fight choreography is fantastic. That first scene between Kumatetsu and Yenzan is one of my favorite anime fights. It's not even super intense, but it's just really fun to watch.
Yeah.
The Boy and the Beast came out late 2015, early 2016.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, 2015.
Yes, Conman. He also did Summer Wars. He also did Digimon the movie. Hosoda, I think I might actually like more than Hayao Miyazaki. That said, they do very different things. Hosoda has fantasy worlds, but they're kind of grounded in realism, where Miyazaki is exactly the opposite of that.
Yeah. Also, they're a different generation, and that is going to make, each of their bodies of work just drastically different, just because they're growing up in different times. Animation has matured quite a bit through Miyazaki, and now this next generation is taking that and pushing it to where they think it should go,
Also, Summer Wars is Digimon, the movie.
It's actually the better of the two.
It's the one that wasn't 3 movies split into 1 movie.
If you don't know what happened,
Summer Wars is Digimon the movie.
If you don't know what happened to the American version of the Digimon movie, go look it up. It's a real treat. Boy, they manhandled the heck out of that film for the stateside release. That said, the Boy and the Beast, I've always loved. Obviously, I love martial arts anime. I was raised on Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, so this was kind of my wheelhouse. That said, they don't focus a ton on the martial arts, more so on the training, and there's nothing. It's harder to grip me with anything more than a good training sequence in an anime. I love watching the character learn something new. Naruto learning the Rasengan is one of my favorites of ever. It's also over the course of 10 or 12 episodes that he learns that. Goku learning the Kaioken and the Spirit Bomb from King Kai. The training they did with Master Roshi back in Dragon Ball, carrying the milk bottles around the village. Just stuff like that always really gets me. But the way that the main character Kyuta learns from Kumatetsu is really interesting, and I love what they do with that. Very unconventional, but really cool. Won't give that away. Let you see that for yourself. Conman says Wolf Children, then Summer Wars, then Boy and the Beast, then The Girl Who Leapt Through Time for his favorites. I would switch Summer Wars and Boy and the Beast, but then I'd agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that's probably about where I stand. Although between The Boy and the Beast and The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, I couldn't tell you which one I like more at this point. I don't know. Maybe I need to give Boy and the Beast another watch. And not like I disliked it, but it just didn't do as much for me.
Well, Wolf Children sets a very high bar, but it's also a very different movie.
Yes.
If you're more into the fantasy, you'll probably like The Boy and the Beast more. But if you really like slice of life and more emotional series, Wolf Children was probably what you're gonna like.
And butter.
My bread and butter too, but also I love martial arts anime, so there you go. Yeah, and that's all the movies and TV for me.
That's almost all the movies and TV for me. The only thing else I did, I watched a couple more episodes of Black Mirror, and I made it to the Star Trek episode.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I like it for the aesthetic.
I like it
for how crazy it is.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, that episode goes places. Not that all of them don't, but yeah.
Could you
that one in particular, it's so like vindictive of the main character.
Yeah. Well, I think I like Black Mirror because it communicates the struggle of what's happening in the episode. So it's really easy to empathize with the characters who are like suffering in this episode.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's not even them. It is a copy, a digital copy of them. But could you imagine?
You still want them to succeed, which is the crazy.
They're still, they're everything you are up to that point. And so, like, could you imagine yourself just appearing in a weird, digital world, and you had no control and you just had to play a part? Like, that's horrifying. Like, that's really scary.
It's a kidnapper story, really.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Also, how do you guys feel about Budget Matt Damon?
He's the best.
Yeah.
Wouldn't he be Budget Chris Pine?
No.
Chris Pine and Matt Damon are almost the same person in my head.
He looks like Matt Damon. I can't remember the name of the actor, but people compare him to Matt Damon all the time. He's just got like lighter hair. Chris
Pine and Matt Damon have very similar eyes and facial structures.
I went with Chris Pine because he's actually in a Star Trek movie.
There's that.
Matt Damon.
Dream Drop says Digimon is an episode of Black Mirror.
Basically, it's the kid version of Black Mirror. Black Mirror just does like an amazing job with like just from a visual standpoint of just conveying emotion. Like the camera work does so much to tell you what characters are thinking without even saying it. And that's the thing I love most about this is like half the time you don't need the dialogue to know what's going on, because they are just so good at just showing it to you.
They're also really good at setting atmosphere and setting with very like little set design. Well, not little set design. It's just very little total sets. Because like that episode takes place in a house, in the office, and then in the digital world, and that's it.
Right. Well, there was the one planet or whatever they beamed down onto, but
just a few sets for an entire, like, was that an hour-long show?
Right.
Yeah. That's pretty good. But yeah, so that's it for me this week.
Logan, I see you wrote Oops.
Yeah, so
is that a movie?
I'll just talk about how I didn't watch any TV or movies, and that's interesting enough because there were several points during the week where I totally had planned to sit down and watch a movie. At one point, we were like, "Oh, we're gonna watch a movie," and instead of watching a movie, we started watching a stand-up, and we only got halfway of that. I did do things this week, just no TV. Not that I... Wait a minute. I remembered something that I watched.
You remembered.
Logan's brain. Hey. So, the new Sacha Baron Cohen show is really, 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 really good. I wish I had a better descriptor of that, so I just had to drag it out. because he just takes like a handful of characters and then he does some like crazy interviews and he gets some really, really not too bright people to say some not too bright things on camera. And it's been like 2 episodes and like tons of people have already got like fired because they've said stuff on this show. It's so over the top. It's called Who is America? And
oh yeah, I've seen a scene from that, I think.
Yeah. And so, yeah, he just kind of epitomizes all of these different ideological extremes. You get like the really conservative gun nut, and then he says like some really, really crazy stuff because it's comedy, right? The first episode, he interviewed Bernie Sanders. That's how the episode like started. And he was this right-wing conservative, and he's just started talking nonsense at one point, and Bernie is just like really, really uber confused. Oh man. But if you haven't seen this, I can't recommend it enough. I'm 2 episodes in, and I want to keep watching, but my my Showtime, my free Showtime subscription is up, and I'm not going to pay for it again.
Fair enough.
So that leads us into anime for the week. I'll start us off with my continuing watch of Boruto. Told you last time that the movie arc had wrapped up, and I should have clarified that the final battle from the movie arc had wrapped up. So this episode was kind of a epilogue, wrapping up some of the B plot, where we're gonna go next, that kind of thing. You see Naruto and Boruto's relationship kind of repaired and where they stand now. There's a really great scene. If you remember from the movie, Boruto like demands that his father showed up for his little sister's birthday, and Naruto shows up. He starts carrying a cake to the table. Everyone's really happy. Boruto's glad that his dad is there for once, and then the shadow clone pops and the cake falls to the floor and breaks, and Boruto has like an emotional meltdown because his dad didn't even show up to his daughter's birthday party. So they have an older brother. Oh yeah. So in this scene, Naruto is at the house. Boruto gets home, sees that Naruto is there, and Naruto's there with a cake, and the cake says happy birthday to Boruto and to Himawari, and they have a birthday party for both of them. So Naruto is kind of like making amends with his son for being, out of his life for a while. Yeah, Dream Drop, the birthday scene broke my heart. I was a wreck. Yeah, like I said, it's a really jarring thing to see Naruto not involved in his children's lives, given his upbringing without parents. So he knows what it feels like to be alone and not have that, person that you can go to, or that leadership, that guideship. So it was hard for me to accept that Naruto would look past that. So it felt really good to see Naruto recognize the parenting problems and mistakes he was making, and kind of make amends for it.
I mean, to be fair, he's everyone's dad, and the village is much bigger than like when his dad would have been in charge. And so like, it makes sense. And I try not to hold it against him too much, but at the same time, like you were saying, like, come on, man.
And from Boruto's perspective too, he kind of forgives his father for paying attention to the rest of the village, because that's his job, and he technically is everybody's dad. He's got a lot of people to take care of, and that's very stressful for him. That scene I talked about before with the shadow clone and the cake falling to the floor, the reason that happens is because Naruto is back at the office and passes out from exhaustion, which causes the shadow clone jutsu to break. So, you have Boruto getting upset, but not realizing the toll that Naruto's job is taking on him.
So he needs some other people to help fill out paperwork.
Yeah, you get perspective from both sides. They even, like, before that scene happens, or the follow-up scene at the end, before that happens, there's even a shot with Naruto in the office with just stacks of paperwork talking to Shikamaru, and he just kind of, he's like, hey Shikamaru, can I take the day off? Like, this is the first time he's actually asked to take a day off, and Shikamaru's surprised. He's like, wait, what? Sure, of course you can. I'll take care of stuff here. Go home, see your kids. And that feels really good. So there's also another daddy moment in this episode with Sasuke.
Oh, Daddy Sasuke.
Daddy Sasuke is my favorite.
Cool.
He's got a couple. He's got a couple days left in the village before he goes on to do some more reconnaissance. And his daughter comes up to him. And she's like, hey, how long are you going to be here? And he's like, well, I got a couple more days left. And she's like, well, can we spend it together? And he says yes. And she just grabs him by the arm and starts dragging him away. And then Sasuke smiles, and then stream of tears just everywhere. I was so dead at that point. So overall, really good episode. The new ending theme for the show, or the new anime ending theme, seems to hint at the next arc focusing on Mitsuki, which I think is good, because they keep building up this plot with Mitsuki and then not giving you background on what's going on with him. We know a little bit from a one-shot manga that Kishimoto released, which was animated for the show. So I look forward to learning a little bit more about what Mitsuki's purpose is and what Orochimaru was up to behind the scenes. So
yeah. That's not the only anime that got a new ending theme.
My Hero Academia got a new opening theme. Was there a new ending theme?
It was a new ending theme too.
Okay, I must have overlooked that.
At least I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I remember them both being new.
Yeah, so we're at the halfway point through the season, which signals a new opening theme for My Hero Academia. And we're keeping up with the dub. So for the dub episode, the episode centers on all of the heroes in training coming up with special moves for themselves. Man, and ultimate moves. And you get to see them kind of experiment, kind of play up their strengths, or with some characters they're working on their weaknesses. In the case of like Uraraka, who wants to lift her entire body up in the air using her gravitational powers, but without throwing up, which is her, the side effect of doing it. So she's focusing on that. You have Bakugo trying to focus all of his power onto a single point, stuff like that. But the real meat of this episode is Midoriya trying to figure out what he wants to do.
How do I not break my arms?
Well, Paul, I'll let you run with that, because you kind of anticipated what would happen.
Yeah, I mean, it was very early on when he was talking about, how do I not break my arms? That's what he was trying to figure out. And in the back of my head, I'm like, he should just become a kickboxer. His legs are just as powerful. And sure enough, that's the answer that eventually comes to him is, well, if I use my arms, they'll break. But I can use my legs. So we didn't really get to see a whole lot of what that looks like. We get a little taste.
Just enough. Just enough. Yeah, I really like this episode because... And this show is doing exactly what I've talked about on... I've talked about this several times on the breakdown at this point. Talking about, finding like the things that like you do best and doing it to just yeah. But then like for him, he was like, okay, I'm aware of my weaknesses. This is what I was getting to. So I'm aware of my weaknesses. Okay, so now I have to find, in spite of those weaknesses, I have to progress. I have to do something. And so he found the next best thing. When I say the next best thing, I'm not even trying to say it's inferior. It's just like, if anything, like legs are generally beefier than arms. Can support more weight. So I think this makes a lot of sense. And him overcoming that obstacle with like, man, I've really screwed up my arms, and so I don't really want to have them take the brunt of what's happening, So It's like, oh, I'm gonna use my legs instead. And all of a sudden, he's like, oh my god, I'm thinking. So, really breaking out of the box, and I teared up a little bit. It was beautiful.
Oh yeah, I think one of the interesting parts of all that too is who he asked to help train him.
Yeah,
it makes so much sense to Alita, considering how much he uses his legs. I love that, like, his first instinct was to find someone who specializes in using their legs and ask them for help. Like, that says so much about Midoriya, that he's not afraid to ask for help.
I love the moment that he realized that he could use his legs, you know, and it was the moment where they put on... Crap, I'm missing...
The arm rockets?
Yeah, the arm rockets, yeah. And I was like, that's so funny. And then all of a sudden, like, it hits Midoriya, and then he doesn't say anything, but then he goes to Ida, and he starts talking him up. And that was the moment I knew. I was like, oh, he's going to start using his legs. Then this is going to get so lit so quickly. And it did get lit. And
they don't waste any time. Like, they get right into showing you what Midoriya's ability is going to be. Like, in the very next scene after that. I like this show's pacing. You just it's rapid fire. There's very little downtime usually, and you just kind of get to the point.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say like this episode and the last episode, you know, felt like really, you know, again, downtime, right? But it's not going to be more than an episode until, you know, really starts the next arc of sorts. I mean, technically, but we haven't really started a new arc. It's kind of, oh, do these things.
We're in the mid arc filler. Well, not filler, but you know what I mean.
Right.
I will say, like, the interesting thing about him using his legs is how well that's going to look with the way he moves. Because it's something that was, like, as soon as he started to learn how to control his power and, like, zip around like Gran Torino, just visually, it always strikes me and, like, gives me goosebumps just looking at it. And so to see that combined with his primary mode of attack, I just imagine he's gonna be zipping all around opponents and like landing kicks and just destroying things before you even know what's going on.
Yeah. And what was the tease for next week's episode? Do you guys remember?
No, I usually don't watch the teases. I don't want to know.
Oh, the teases for this show don't give away stuff in the way that other shows do.
Yeah.
Right. I just haven't made a habit of it. And usually when I'm watching a lot of these shows, it's like I'm binging them, so it doesn't really matter anyway because I'm about to watch the next episode.
Right.
So.
Conman makes an interesting point. He says, you know what hurts my soul with this development? That means everyone is going to have new costumes and movesets, and the game coming this fall will be so far behind. It's the Naruto games all over again. And that's an interesting point, because that's something Paul and I dealt with growing up with these anime games, is that the video games, by the time they were out, always felt outdated, because the content they'd cover had already been done, you know, so long ago by this point. But
unless they start doing some of the later games would actually step ahead and follow like the Japanese manga rather than like waiting for the anime.
Yeah, those were good times.
Cover more grounds. Yeah, I remember Revolution 3 in particular was like eons ahead of where we were at in America.
Yeah, the dub I don't even think the dub had started yet.
If it had, it was still in the first arc.
Yeah. They went 3 arcs out, which was really nice. Also, considering that was the last game we ever got.
Yeah. I'm hoping that for this game in particular that they will kind of like step ahead, because they do know what's around the corner with the manga. So if they wanted to, they could kind of slide these in as alternate characters.
I was, you know, to be honest, even thinking about this, I was surprised just how much content we were getting and how far it was going. Like, when they announced that All For One was going to be in the game, that actually surprised me. I was like, I was not expecting to get that far into the anime with the game. So, and Dream Drop makes a good point. He says, at least we've got DLC and updates these days. And that's something that Xenoverse 2 has been especially good about. We have stuff
They're still doing it.
We have stuff from the end of Dragon Ball Super that's now in the game as DLC.
Yeah, I was going to say this is with the internet and DLC and constant free updates that whatever the company decides is good. Like, there's always going to be opportunities for more content that's going to catch it up.
Yeah,
push it forward.
And I would take this back in. I was going to say back in my day, back in the days of like Naruto Clash of Ninja and that kind of stuff. Paul and I were used to kind of the yearly release model. The next year would cover the next 2 arcs of the anime, and we'd get that much new content. But with this model, I hope we don't get yearly releases. I hope those yearly releases are just DLC packs.
Yeah.
Wait a couple years before making the game again to come up with something new. I think ultimately that'd be better for everybody.
Definitely.
Any other anime?
Yeah, of course.
Logan's got us.
I'm the only one in this call that is watching JoJo. The only one, which is a shame.
Wow, that's not Steins Gate.
It's a shame because JoJo is really, really good.
Steins Gate is really, really good.
I'm about halfway through season 2, and I'm in the 3rd arc. Yeah, the first season covers the first 2 arcs, and so right now the current JoJo is Jotaro Kujo. JoJo, and in this, so each of the separate arcs has like a different emphasis in terms of the combat. So the first arc is all about Hammond and controlling the flow of Hammond through your blood and being able to concentrate it on your fingertip or whatever, so you can fight effectively. The second arc focuses more on kind of people who are, we already know how to use Hammond, so what can we kind of do with that? How far can we take this? And then this one kind of throws the third arc throws Hammond out the window, and all these characters have stands, okay? And a stand is like a spirit that is attached to these characters that have certain powers. And so, like, they haven't even mentioned Hammond, but Dio has come back.
It was me.
Yes. From the first arc, he has been at the bottom of the ocean for like 100 years. And he has put his head on Jonathan Joestar's body. Okay, so he stole Jonathan Joestar's body, and it's connected to his descendants. So when Dio activated all of his stands, right, because he has like a bunch of them or something like that, at least that's how I understand it to be currently, it brought out the stands of all of his descendants. So Joseph Joestar is still, the previous JoJo is still in this arc as the grandfather of the current JoJo. And they all just manifest these powers, and it's insane. And I finally got to the part where they're sitting, and I cannot remember the name of the character, but he's got green, he's got earrings, got red hair, and then he's licking on a cherry. So funny. I was just waiting for that. I was waiting for that moment for like the entire show, and I finally got to it.
So that's season 3.
That's season 2. Season 2.
The third arc. Okay. Yeah. I look forward to seeing that.
Yes, it's what a treat. I think I wouldn't be surprised if this arc ends in a few episodes. I think they probably fit about 2 arcs in a season at this. That's what it seems like.
Kind of like My Hero.
Yeah, yeah. So they don't try to drag it on too long. You know, there's a different story to tell in the future, right? A different JoJo to tell all about. And I love the personality of like each of the characters. So I mentioned Jonathan Joestar was very much a gentleman. Joseph Joestar was a little brash and didn't like to be told what to do necessarily, but he was still a really good guy. Well, Jotaro Kujo, the current JoJo in the third arc, he calls his mother a bee all the time. All the time. But it doesn't faze her because she's super loving. She loves her JoJo. She says goodbye. And
that
she
makes it even
kisses
more
on
jarring.
him, and he goes, "Stop being such a bee," and then walks away. But you can tell he means well as well, right? So they all have really like pure, I would say, pure hearts, right? Because at the very beginning of this arc, he goes to prison because he's held up in a cell, right? Because he got into a fight, and then he tells everybody that he's going to stay in prison because he has an evil spirit attached to him that he can't control. And so he's going to stay in prison where he can't hurt anybody. But then that turns out that it's just his stand, and then his grandfather, Joseph Joestar, and his, I think, Egyptian friend, I don't know, some Middle Eastern country, this guy from there helps him control his stand. And so that's where I'm at. We're getting pretty close to the end of this arc. I can feel it. And you should watch it. Go watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. It's really good.
I don't know. I don't like cooking show animes. That only took me 5 tries.
Execution ball.
One quick anime thing I want to mention before we move on is the English dub premiere trailer for Pokemon The Power of Us was released today. This is the English version of Pokemon Everyone's Story. For the eagle-eyed, you'll notice that Pokemon The Power of Us is actually a play on the name for the Pokemon 2000 movie, which is The Power of One. And both of these movies feature Lugia at the center of the film. So this is calling back to the original movie. I'm sure that's purely for marketing because the Japanese version did no such thing.
Right.
That being said, the movie for next year, Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution, is doing the callback in the Japanese name as well as the American name. So that also might contribute to why they did that. That said, I like the way this movie looks a lot. It's very pretty.
Yeah.
Kind of a new art direction for Pokemon that they haven't explored before. I'm not even really sure how to describe it. It's more cute, but more elegant. Not like the Sun and Moon anime at all. So there's that to look forward to. That's coming to American theaters sometime this fall. They haven't released a date yet, but I'll probably go and see that and let you guys know what I think. Because I enjoyed Pokemon I Choose You. I did have some criticisms for that movie, but that had mostly to do with it telling a story I'd seen before. So I anticipate what they're going to do with this one, with it being a totally original idea. So that covers the anime for the week. That brings us to our video games, and once again, I'm here to preach the good word about Taiko no Tatsujin.
And I'm here with that as well.
Oh, okay, Paul. We both got Taiko.
Funner than I expected.
Wait, do you have a video about that?
There might be a video on our channel where I unbox a Taiko no Tatsujin Hori drum from Japan, and give you a little demonstration of how that looks in the game. And quickly before we move on, they have officially confirmed that the Taiko no Tatsujin Hori drum controller will not be releasing in the United States.
No. How could they do that to all the dedicated Taiko fans here in the U.S.?
All 3 of us are upset, dang it.
So the only way you're going to be able get it is if you import. I would highly implore, if you want the game, to import the drum off of Amazon Japan.
You gotta get the true experience.
Yeah. So I would recommend that. But Paul, I guess since you're the freshest perspective, what did you think?
Well, it's got a really fun track list. It's hard when you've never played it before, but it's very quick to get the hang of it. I think part of it was I think you adjusted some of the settings, and so that made it a lot easier than it was like originally. But once you get the timing down, once you whack this thing, really whack it.
It's a drum. You have to hit it.
Yeah, I was hitting it way too lightly, and I kept missing everything. And so once I got past that, and I actually started hitting the notes, I had a blast, especially playing all these different anime openings that I knew. That helped a lot.
Yeah, when I noticed you were struggling after we'd fixed the sensitivity, I was like, well, why don't we have him play songs that he knows already? So what did we put you on Head Chala first or something?
Yep.
And then
we also did like One Piece,
which happens to be the best One Piece opening, so glad that's on there. Yeah, Conmen, we are talking about the one for Switch. We're talking about the Japanese track list right now. We don't know what the Western releases track list is going to be, but it does sound like it might actually just be the Japanese soundtrack, which if it is, that's great. It won't be plagued like the original Taiko no I almost said Taiko no Drum Master. Taiko Drum Master release in the West.
Yeah, anybody who's buying this game is a weeb anyway, so they're gonna want those songs on there.
I mean, they're releasing it as Taiko no Tatsujin. They're right. Only releasing this to the people who want to buy it already.
Right.
Yeah, so we actually played with 2 drums. That was the first time I've gotten to do that, because Josiah brought his drum over, and we played co-op using 2 drums rather than 1 drum and a gamepad, which is the way to play.
So do they just hook up via USB, or are they wireless?
USB.
Okay.
It makes me question, because the American release of the game, since they're not releasing the drum here, are they going to leave the code for the drum support in the game for people who import the drum?
I would really hope so.
I don't know why you would go out of your way to take it out.
Yeah. It's still a really odd choice. Like, if I understand maybe not wanting to take the risk on the piece of hardware releasing it here, but maybe do a limited release at least. You have to,
yeah.
It's been so long since this game has been here, it's almost a disservice to not give people the whole package.
Yeah, I mean, come on, guys, just do like
to do bundle.
Yeah.
I was gonna say do a Kickstarter. A bunch of other, dude, like, what was it? It was Atari, right? Which isn't the same Atari that brought us like the Atari 2600. It's like the 3rd, 4th Atari since then, right? So they just buy up the namesake and just rebrand it. But they did something similar with like trying to crowdfund a Nintendo Switch Roller Coaster Tycoon, but then it just turned out it was like a port of the mobile game, right?
Yeah.
And why? What? No. Not how it works.
That said, like, if you do buy the game or the North American version, you're still gonna have a great time because it's still Taiko, and Taiko is just a good game.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'm like a breadstick. I ain't got no rhythm, but I still had fun, so it's possible.
And I mean, even then, you played just a few songs, but you were starting to figure it out.
Yeah.
Don't expect to like pick up this game and be an insta genius. That you need to practice. I've wondered, because I guess we should mention this. Over the weekend, we went to the Japanese Summer Festival at the Anderson Gardens, and we watched a professional Taiko drum team play.
Oh, golly.
That was like a religious experience for me, because not only were they playing, but they had like these stances that they were standing in, and then they had like choreography with the way that they moved their arms as they beat the drums.
So you're telling me these people play Taiko no Tatsujin without the game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Didn't know people were that dedicated to the IP.
It was it was a really cool experience. That was actually the second time I've gotten to see them play. They're actually based in Chicago, so you guys in the chat, you'll probably have some opportunities to see them if you haven't already. I think they were called Heitetsu Taiko or Heietsu Taiko or something like that. I'll have to look up their name, but they're based in Chicago. Really cool stuff. So if you like Taiko no Tatsujin, check that out. And if you like just Japanese music, also check that out. Any other words for Taiko before I move on, Paul?
I'm good.
So in addition to that, No Man's Sky Next update came out. And I've been playing a hearty amount of that game again. So
yeah, I can also echo that statement.
I bought the game at launch, enjoyed it at launch, but you can only be alone for so long before it starts to grate on you. So the next update brings full-on multiplayer support to the game, up to 16 people in a lobby, and a bunch of other necessary updates, visual overhaul, changes in the algorithms for generation and stuff like that. And I'm just having a really good time exploring space. Logan, and you too, Paul, we played a little bit together, and you guys spawned on my original home planet. So when we started, we weren't even on the same star. I had to come fly to you guys after the fact.
Right. Yeah, it's been so great because like a lot of people are playing No Man's Sky this past week, right? Including a lot of people I know. So it's really easy for like me to get on my computer and wondering, okay, what am I going to do? I got some free time, and seeing that my little brother's on No Man's Sky, and all I have to do is join game, and then I hop in with him, and then we just do whatever we do. It's so much better with friends. So much better.
The best way I could describe it is it's space rust without the violence.
Yeah, yeah.
Lots of resource gathering and building, but moreover, just explore and enjoy the ride. That's what you're there for. Sometimes you'll just land on a planet.
To explore.
Sometimes you'll just land on a planet and see just a gorgeous vista. And people are posting pictures of them on Twitter, and what's his name? Sean Murray is retweeting them.
Yeah.
And there's just some beautiful shots coming out of this game.
This is the game everybody wanted at launch.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're making good on that promise.
Later, yeah. So, I mean, after launch, they added base building, they added some other vehicles.
Terrain vehicles.
Yeah. Bunch of other content, and I guess they were just kind of building up what the base game could be before they were finally like, okay, it's time to add multiplayer. So now that all this other content was in there, okay, now everybody gets to play together.
And in our last play session, I came across a freighter being attacked by space pirates. So I called the Star Fox team, and we took down the space pirates for them. Then they left, and I got invited on board. And the commander of the ship was like, hey, thanks for doing that. I guess you can just have the freighter if you want. I was like, all right. So now I own a freighter. And a freighter, I guess they were in the game before this point, but now they kind of serve as like a multiplayer hub.
Yeah.
You can build a base on it. Your friends can dock their ships on the freighter, and you can go on collaborative missions together, going through the freighter terminals, and it's just really cool. As soon as I unlocked my freighter, I went and explored it, and I felt really important. Like this, I got this huge ship that I can call home now.
Yeah, I feel like there are a lot of layers to this game, and a lot of layers I still haven't touched yet. It gives you a really good sense of progression. So even just getting the freighter and having access to some of those, extra missions, that's really cool. We haven't gotten far enough with the Atlas missions where we've even gotten like Atlas passes or anything like that. So
yeah, we've only warped like 7 or 8 times total.
Yeah, so we're still very early game, and I've put in like at least 8-9 hours in the past week. Yeah,
I'm just around the same as you right now, Logan. Paul, at this point, now that I have a freighter, I can just warp back to the galaxy we left you in. You can dock on the ship, and I can warp you back to where we were.
Good stuff.
So, if you have a couple of friends who are interested in this game, or just are into sci-fi and love space, try this out. It's a really chill game, and it's relaxing.
Yeah, so it just got released on the Xbox. It's half off on Steam, and there are tons of cheap used copies on PS4. So pick your platform. If you want cheap, go on your PS4. because if you want to, there's not cross-platform, so it really depends on where your friends are playing. So you should definitely pick up where your friends are playing.
We should also kind of praise, I think, Hello Games and Sean Murray, because they have been on the ball as far as hot fixes and patches since launch.
Yeah, so I mean, that whole like $60 price tag at the beginning, we all thought was pretty steep. They reinvested it. That's what this is. Like, that's your $60. You're finally getting your $60 worth out of this game, you know? So you may have not gotten it when you wanted it, but it's here now.
I can't wait to start seeing those articles show up on Facebook detailing great space battles that took place between warring factions, because that's the kind of world that's going to develop from this, and I'm excited.
Yeah. Yeah, and you said the lobbies can be up to like 16 people?
Yeah, I don't know how it handles additional players outside of that, but I think it works a little bit like Journey, that once you're close enough, people just kind of end up in your lobby.
Well, if you guys are in the same area but not in the same session, you'll show up as like an orb.
Okay.
So like me and Ethan were playing, and we weren't in the same session, but we could see where each other were, and then when I went up to him, he was just a floating glowing orb. And vice versa. So
okay, so yeah, so that would mean then 16 people total in a lobby at once that you can physically see and interact with. But overall, Conman's right. This is the biggest game turnaround ever. Well, maybe Final Fantasy XIV might be the biggest ever, but this is pretty good.
Yeah, this one, it's really good. I mean, the recent reviews on Steam have it at like 81% positive, and I think it's still sitting around like 44% mixed for like all reviews.
Hey, but we mixed boys now.
Better. Yeah, significantly better than the mostly negative reviews that have been plaguing it for so long. So, and it's probably good. It probably won't change too much, but that's probably because a lot of people who bought it might not give it a second chance, but a lot of people did, so who knows, you know?
There's also an element of bandwagon culture at play here, especially when the game initially launched, because people were hating on it as if it was like Superman 64. There was a good game there, just not the one you thought it was.
I think it peaked on Steam like 96,000 people playing simultaneously, which is incredible for a game that's this old and just got tore up, you know?
Yeah.
It is currently the 5th most played game on Steam with 67,000 current players. Behind PUBG, Dota 2, Counter-Strike, and Warframe.
That's really exciting. And I mean, they're also doing weekly content drops from now on. So there's going to be more and more. So I can't wait to see how this game evolves even going forward from now. Because this is the 4th major update, and there's nothing saying that was the last major update. This is the beginning.
Absolutely. I mean, it seems like this is like a passion project. It sounds like Hello Games wants to work on this for a little bit longer. You know, they're not done with it.
No, this is an evergreen game.
Yeah, I don't know how they'll continue to monetize it. Obviously, with the new update, there's going to be a lot of new purchasers, and launching on Xbox is huge, so there's that. But I wonder how far they're going to take it, because we just don't know.
Yeah. That said, if you are an outsider for No Man's Sky right now, Logan told you about the 50% off sale that's taking place right now, or getting it cheap used on PlayStation 4. This is the time to get in. So if you're interested or passively interested, this is the time.
And I would just say, play where your friends are playing, right? If you guys all are on PS4 and you guys all want to dip for No Man's Sky, totally worth it. So on that multiplayer.
It's just, I've been calling it Space Friends, because we're just in space together.
Do you want to friend in space?
That said, that's all I've been up to on the gaming side.
Gotcha. So the only thing I've done differently is I squeezed in a little bit more Hiragana Pixel Party. I'm getting to, I think, the 3rd page of mini games, or I guess tracks, and I got to a couple where they would just give you the sound. They wouldn't even like show you the letter in English or in Japanese, and then they wouldn't show you on the block what it was, and so it was really, really hard. And I think my first time playing through that level, I biffed spectacularly. So I have to say again and again, like, if you're trying to figure out them writing systems for Japanese, you're gonna Pixel Party. It's a good game to help kind of learn the different characters, and it's a good resource. But that's it for me this week.
Yeah. So outside of the fantastic experience that was No Man's Sky, which was the highlight of my week, I played a few other games. I've been playing more Rocket League, and I feel like I'm getting better. I'm getting better at Rocket League, right? I just feel more tuned. I also have been growing increasingly frustrated with the online player base, because I feel like more often than not, I am thrown with another person or two that doesn't know what they're doing. When there's like your 2 other guys are just like racing around in circles trying to hit a ball that's like just bouncing and not really moving anywhere, you're not gonna win. You know. So there's a lot of losses like that where they're just really frustrating, because you try your best, you know, maybe you set up the ball really well so many times, and then like the other 2 guys are like behind you instead of like being in front of the goal trying to hit the ball in, you know, because everybody wants to hit the ball, but nobody actually, you know, wants to anticipate it. But I digress. I did play a few other things this week, and it was all on GameCube. So this was just a lot of classics. I'm so glad there's a GameCube in my apartment, and there will be for a long time. And I have Super Smash Bros. Playing a lot of Super Smash Bros. Just tearing it up, getting some good competition. Might have to warm myself up and then come up to Rockford and whoop Brandon's butt in Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Are we fighting in Melee?
Yeah, man.
You're gonna die, boy.
No. But other than that, I didn't play a ton this. What I played a ton of, but I didn't play a ton this week, right?
Same for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So Rocket League and No Man's Sky. I got a video here to edit. I got to this podcast, but I hope I can fit some No Man's Sky in here tonight at some point.
No Man's Sky was very close to being my highlight of the week. In fact, I wrote it down first, thought about it for a second, and then put Teen Titans Go to the movies instead.
Yeah. So that's it for me. I enjoyed my week. I'm so thankful that you guys are here to listen to me, and all of you out on the interwebs.
So that pretty much does it for the Breakdown podcast this week. There's some stuff to look forward to in the coming days. Like Logan said, he's working on a video that he'll get started with after the show. I have 3 videos up that will be going live over the next couple days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Got a playthrough of Bomber Crew that I did. That game was sent to us by our friends at Curve Digital and Runner Duck Games, so thanks to them for that. A review of that game will be coming soon. And I actually had plans to record another video series starting tomorrow, and I'm going to keep that to myself for now. But I'm excited about this one. And I think I just decided, because I was stuck between 2 different videos I wanted to record tomorrow, and I think I just decided what I'm going to do.
Both.
No. Just shutting that right down. No. Thanks, Conman. Glad you stuck around and enjoyed the show. Speaking of those 3 videos I got going up this week, 2 of them are already available for our lovely patrons to watch. If you want to get access to our early access videos, you can pledge as little as $1 a month to get access to that. And if you want to suggest podcast topics for the show that we do once a month with a podcast dedicated to patrons, you can donate as little as $5 a month. You can find a link to that in the description of the YouTube video. It's Breakroom Arcade, or it's patreon.com/breakroomarcade. So if you want to talk to us, you can follow us all on Twitter. I'm at BabbaBabs, Logan's at LoggyDubs, Paul's at Gunnysaurus. You can follow us as a collective at Breakroom Arcade. If you want to chat with us even more, there's a link to our Discord server in the YouTube description. Lots of fun things to talk about in there. We have plenty of rooms to talk about games, music, movies, all that stuff. And we're in there pretty much 24/7. I am in there all day for the most part. And I have all of my notifications muted. Josiah was really surprised by this. I don't have any notifications turned on for Discord at all. I just check it that frequently. It might be my new home messenger, which is what Logan wanted it to become. So congratulations, you succeeded.
I get my way.
Yeah, so if you liked what you saw here, feel free to leave a like. We'd love it if you did that. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't to find out what we're doing next. And there was one other thing I was going to tell you to do. Oh, yeah, rate us on podcast sources, especially on Apple Podcasts. That would really help us out. The podcast audio version's actually been growing a lot recently, so you guys have been helpful. And even if you didn't leave a rating, I'm just going to believe in my head that you did anyway. Please leave a rating. With that in mind, make sure to come back Friday for the Nintendo Stuff podcast, where we'll be talking about all of the Nintendo news for the week, Nintendo games we've been playing, all that good jazz. We know you guys love hearing about that. Couple things to tease. That Shokugeki no Soma Rogers based stream is still happening. I will get you a date as soon as he and I can lock it down. We have a special guest on the show, the Breakdown Podcast, September 3rd. I will announce who that is next week, so look forward to that. And with that, don't break your backs, break in the games. But for now, break time's over, and we'll see you next time.